Hello and welcome to week 36's content episode. A very cozy affair this week because, as people know, I was ill last week, but it's a chance for Josh and I to catch up and also bring in a few other things which we can both speak to, which I think will be interesting, and we'll bring in plenty of listener comments too. Welcome to this cozy little episode, Josh. Hello.
Yeah, good to be here, Ben. It's nice to kind of talk. I think we're in a bit of a lull of team of the season. I feel like everyone's kind of thinking, oh, have I just lost my interest in the game? Like, why is Tots not hitting? But I do feel like we get to this point actually every year now in team of the season. I was looking back through last year and the year before, and the videos online were all like, why is Tots not the same? Like, we're in the exact same pattern. I think, again, there's so much nostalgia attached to FC and FIFA that we still remember those old times when Tots was just this insane, like, few week period. But I don't know, it just goes on for so long. It's not special in terms of it being like the only promo for the second half of the game. I don't know. I think Serie A Tots has been quite interesting. It's given us probably the best striker on the game that's not going to get beaten for a while, I think. And there's quite a few good value options in there too.
Yeah, and that's a nice teaser for maybe a little later on, actually. So we'll move into pound for pound. And Josh, who's going to pick pound for pound this week? I wonder.
Well, I think it's got to be you, right? Because
exactly,
you weren't here.
It does.
So.
And I will pick, I think. Well, I think all let's just have a reminder of the nominations. So we had 𝘵𝘀𝗀𝘀, 𝘵𝑚𝗪𝑎LDO, 𝘂𝑙, and Simon. But I should say, very much enjoyed being a listener last week on my deathbed or whatever it was. So yeah, I'm gonna go. I quite enjoyed that. Was it Richard Buckley was very satisfied about nominating 𝘵𝑚𝗪𝑎LDO, and then Springford just nominated basically a better version in the form of Simon. So I think I've got to give it to Springford for that. And it's going to have to be Carolyn Simon, team of the season, who is a super well-rounded fullback. And then we will move on to this week's pound for pound. And the first kind of nomination that we should do is from a listener, and that is for team of the season Lukaku from Rob. He says, as of now, he comes in at 35k, and he's been a goal-scoring machine for my weekend league campaign. Press Proven Plus and Aerial Plus, along with his size and strength, have made him a handful for even the strongest defenders. He also has 5-star weak foot and Low Driven Plus, which allows him to finish basically anything in the box, base, tiki-taka, and first touch to serve as an incredible hold-up distributor up top as a lone striker. Yeah, I think you need a certain kind of play style to make him effective, but if you do play that way, I've no doubt that he's very, very good. So yeah, a good starting point. And yeah, Josh, why don't you go for it and nominate your pound for pound for this week?
Yeah, it's interesting that Lukaku was the listener nomination because the big man up top was kind of where I was going with a few of mine as well. There's David from Union Saint-Gilloise, who is, I think, 6'5", 5-star, 5-star, got finesse shot, low driven, and first touch, and is like 15k. So, really good big man there. And then, I am going to butcher this name so badly, 𝘬𝘃𝗧𝗧, who's the striker from Genk. He's 6'6", to outdo David, and has low driven, aerial, and quick step plus, which I would love to see what that looks like on a 6'6" player. And again, 17k. Part of me wants to run those two together up front and just see what that feels like, play proper 4-4-2. But I think Lukaku's a great shout. He's kind of just got a bit that those two are missing. I think the extra 20k is worth it. So I'm going to go for a slightly different option. I'm going to go with a fullback from the Serie A who's an SBC, but it's not the one you're thinking of. It's Nuno Tavares, who I actually nominated his objective card earlier in the cycle. I think it was his Trailblazers. I really, really enjoyed that card. I thought it was fantastic at left back. There was also an Evo you could put it through, I think, to make it an 87 rated card. And I still have that card. I still ran it in a few of the cups actually recently. Just really, really solid. And this SBC doesn't disappoint, has everything that left back card did have earlier in the cycle. Jockey Plus is just really, really good on fullbacks. Almost necessary, I think, especially in that back line. got the quick step, got rapid when you're on the ball. I use him as a wing back. He's a higher ranked wing back in terms of, I think he's in the top 10 wing backs in terms of GG rating, but only the top 20 fullbacks. So he's definitely more of a wing back, I think, than a fullback. He's got long throw, which I didn't think I cared for until I was launching it 50 yards up the pitch. And that, there was something about that that kind of caught people off guard. He's got that base intercept. I don't know, just really solid all-round card for 50k. Has like a solid build in-game as well. Like, he's not going to pull up any trees. He's not going to get into people's kind of mega teams. But, if you wanted to run Serie A, if you wanted to try out a new left back, I had a lot of fun using him this weekend.
Yeah, and I'm going to go over to the other side of the pitch and nominate a Serie A right back, and that is Denzel Dumfries. I mean, he's 300k, which obviously isn't typical pound for pound value, but GG rating is 94.2 fullback with an anchor, which makes him the number one ranked fullback in the game. So for 300k, and the fact you can actually put one of those playstyle plus Evos, maybe pings plus or tiki-taka plus on him, I think makes him pretty outstanding value even for that price. You probably will want that fourth playstyle plus because he doesn't have any passing playstyles apart from whipped, but he does have every defensive playstyle, and he's got intercept plus and bruiser plus, as well as relentless plus, which is a useful fullback playstyle plus, I think. And he has quick step and he's lengthy, and if you put an anchor on him, he's maxed out pace, pretty much defending, although a little bit lower on the interceptions and defensive awareness, and physical too. So yeah, a very, very kind of elite fullback, and it's not even, I don't think, that close between the other fullbacks and him. So yeah, I would definitely recommend if he fits your team and if you have the fodder to spend, which you probably do, let's be real. So yeah, I think actually the SBCs have been pretty good, Josh. Like, I mean, I could have probably nominated 𝘵𝘗𝘰𝗰𝘀𝘀 as well, right? He looks really good. One of the better deep line playmakers in the game as well.
Yeah, I think for 450k, I think he's a really, really solid option. Like, for that kind of deeper role that can still pass the ball. I mean, he's got long ball plus, 95 vision, 96 short pass, 95 long pass on his card. Controlled lengthy as well, base. So, there's plenty of play styles, chem styles even you can give him that keep him controlled lengthy. He's just a very kind of solid all-round player. Obviously gets that link to Scott McTominay. It's weird that chemistry is kind of like just not a discussion point with these cards, because usually you'd go, God, how are you going to link him? But I mean, he just starts on 2 chemistry and you need one other Serie A tots and bang, there you go, you're done. But yeah, like, I like his collection of playstyles. He doesn't have too many, but what he has is very, very good. Like, maybe you could argue he's missing a quick step in there. Maybe he's missing a jockey defensively, but I don't know. Base ping pass means you can do the short passing. Long ball plus, you can kind of do chip through balls or do just long passing. He's got base finesse shot, so if you're in the right position, you can hit that. I don't know, just a really solid kind of DM in your team, and one of those where you wouldn't be surprised if he fits in like a TOTS upgrade Evo at some point. He's only 94 rated, so he can get the season pass playstyle pluses if you wanted to give him something from there that you felt he was missing. Like, really, really solid for kind of that 400 to 500k mark in terms of fodder value. And then they gave us a 96 𝗵𝗽 as well. I know it says 92 on his card, but like, it's going to be 96 rated, so we can just see it as that. And for 60k, I mean, that's absolutely incredible, even from a fodder perspective. Yeah, I don't know what the cheapest 96 rated player is, but he is very, very good. Like, base tiki-taka, base intercept, base anticipate. Kind of, I don't know if you'd pick other playstyle pluses for your 3 in midfield. Like, maybe if you wanted someone a bit more box to box, you'd potentially go for another passing playstyle over one of those 2 defensive playstyles. But yeah, just really, really good. And if he does get the upgrade, listen, United are absolutely shocking at the moment, but if he does get the upgrade, it would be interesting to see what that card goes up to, and what he then looks like. What play styles you can attach to him. Like, I think he does fit in an Evo right now as well, built different.
Yeah,
and so it's 125k. Maybe you don't think it's worth it but it does give him, I think it's 2 more play styles, press proven and technical. Now that's a lot of upgrade for just 2 base play styles. He won't continue with the stat boost. Like, if we just go back to how Evos work on live players, you only get the Evo that would have been applied to the final version of the player. So if he goes up to 96, he'll have the upgrade that would have been applied to the 96 rated card. So if his base stats are already over the limit, say, of what something can get upgraded to, he won't have that extra upgrade. It's really complicated to explain, but it is very simple once you understand it.
Yeah, so it's basically like you have to imagine the player going through the Evo after they've been upgraded.
Yes. Yeah.
As in, after they've had their live upgrade, imagine that player being put through the Evo.
But I mean, even through build different, the stat increases through build different. If Spurs do win a final and hell freezes over, then that I just think that is a really solid card for like under 200k, especially if you're a United fan or like a building an England team. I think you could do worse in midfield.
Yeah, the other thing to kind of add on that is if you add a 4th playstyle plus now, which obviously you wouldn't be able to do if he gets his upgrade to 96, then that wouldn't affect the upgrade, would it? Because there's no limits on those playstyle plus upgrades. So that could be a nice thing to do. I'm not sure which one you'd add, to be fair, because he already has tiki taka and he has base pinged. Maybe you'd just go ping plus or something. But I think it's a good SBC. I mean, it's obviously very cheap at 60k. Giuliano also looks good for extremely cheap and probably has Evo potential. And then, Dybala looks pretty good as well, to be honest. I mean, obviously it's one of the more expensive SBCs, but he is a high tier attacking midfielder and 5-star, etc. So I think they've done quite well in terms of the SBCs recently. Are there any other players you wanted to kind of pick out beyond the SBCs?
Yeah, it's probably worth talking about the Thuram brothers. Both of them were an absolute menace earlier in the cycle, and both of them have got moments cards. I like to think that these like TOTS highlights are actually for how they were in the game this year rather than in real life. But Marcus Thuram, he's kind of everything you remember that Player of the Month card to be in game. Very, very fast, very strong, like really good finisher. Probably not in that like top tier of elite strikers, but I think what you'd get out of a player that is 3, 4, 500,000 coins more expensive is probably not worth it. Like, he just is very, very good at everything he does. And then, the midfield card for Kefren Thuram is just incredibly well-rounded. He's 1 pace point away from like 9 goal and gang. Maybe you could argue his play styles are a little lacking in places. I think he's only got ping pass plus in terms of a passing play style. Definitely more of a defensive player, but just really like solid cards. I think there's a lot of that kind of card in Serie A, that under 100k, but really kind of well-rounded. I think that thing of them having to kind of slowly increase the power curve of those lesser cards as TOTS goes on is really noticeable. I do want to shout out Tijjani Reinders, although only for the next few weeks until he apparently is signing for Manchester City. His not Trailblazers, Thunderstruck. Yeah, his Thunderstruck card earlier on in the cycle was, I just thought it was unbelievable, and it was being used by the pros in all of the live events. I've not actually used his Team of the Season card yet, but it kind of just looks like that Thunderstruck card on steroids, and, again, really, really well-rounded. Serie A just does midfielders very, very well, seemingly. So, yeah, shout out to him. Like, small shout out to Buongiorno as well. I think had a really overpowered card last year. Was it like it wasn't What's Up, but I think there was a live promo or something that he was involved in. And that was a really, really good card. And I don't know, like, low-key better than Bastoni for 700k cheaper.
Yeah, well, actually, a player you haven't mentioned yet is the one you alluded to in the intro, right? 𝘬𝘬𝘬𝘬. I mean, I think you said he may be the best striker in the game for a while. It'd be interesting to know kind of what it is that you think makes him the best striker for a while.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, going from pound for pound, you kind of you got to ease your way up to a 3 million coin striker. But yeah, like the reason why I think he's so good is if you give him an engine, he stays controlled lengthy, which I think is probably the best running style for a striker. It means he's quick because he's got that lengthiness, but also isn't so quick that he's very slow off the mark. You know, he's that probably highlights the one area he doesn't have, which is quick step. It's the one area where I think he could improve is if you give him quick step as a base play style. I think that would make a big difference. If you gave him quick step plus over first touch plus, ridiculous. But he has the two shooting play styles that I think people want, finesse shot plus and low driven plus. They feel equally as broken. Power shot, I've actually been using a bit more, is still really good, but you don't need it as a plus. Chip shot, the same. Power header, I think is good to have as a base, especially on a player who's so tall, like 6'1", with that kind of physicality. It does mean that when he wins headers, you will actually be able to score them. But with an engine, he is 98, 99 in his pace split. He's already got base, 99 attack position, 99 finishing, 99 shot power. He has 97 vision, 99 short passing, 96 long passing, 95 agility, 99 balance, 97 reactions, 98 ball control, 99 dribbling, 99 composure, with 99 strength, 95 jumping, and 99 heading accuracy. There is very little he's going to be unable to do. And with Ping Pass Plus as one of his playstyles, it means that you are going to be able to pass with him as a striker, which I think quite a lot of strikers miss out on, especially if you look at like R9 Ronaldo. He's brilliant as a striker, but maybe his passing is where he might let you down. This 𝗵𝗽𝗀𝗰, there will be a better striker than him because they have to release someone who does come out as better than him. But he will be an end game card. I don't think you would be using this card in August and feel like you're behind the power curve. Like he just feels like he's got that kind of longevity.
Yeah, I mean, he just is on paper phenomenal, and reports from people using him in game suggest the same. And I mean, he's not someone who's particularly well known, and I mean, I'm sure his pack weight is going to be relatively low, so he's not popping out packs loads just because they've made him really good. But the fact he's still 2.8 million coins, despite not being the biggest name, does demonstrate that is going to be a really good player. And he's a whole, in terms of GG rating, which we'll come on to after the break, he's a whole point and a bit clear of Kane as the number one striker. And yeah, on that topic, we'll be back to talk a bit more about GG rating, something that we've been working on for a while now and something that I know people are wanting to hear more about. So we'll do that just after this break. Hello, welcome back after the break. Right, let us talk about GG rating. So GG rating is live on FUT.GG. It's basically a way for you to quickly see how a player is going to perform in-game in the various different roles that you might play them in. And this is something that Josh and I have been working on for some time. It's actually something that GG, the site, has been working on intermittently for about 3 years. And the system behind it is something that we'll give a bit more context on, I guess, in this conversation. But I think, in terms of the way to use it, primarily you want to use it to, I guess, compare between players in terms of their quality in in-game performance. And I think one of the important things to say is that GG rating takes into account every single thing that impacts gameplay, rather than when you look at just overall rating, that is really just the player's stats and also some other stuff which is almost slightly irrelevant to gameplay, like international reputation, for example. So it's a much kind of cleaner way of, and actually useful way of assessing a player's performance in game quickly. And it'd be interesting to hear from you, Josh, maybe a bit more about how we've kind of come to the system we've come to, so that people can have a sense of what they're looking at when they're looking at the scores.
Yeah, so when kind of I started looking at this, the clear direction was to try and remove feel as much as possible from like how we determine how good a player is. Basically, just use the stats, the play styles, the footedness, the skill moves, the weak foot, their familiarity, their running styles, their height, their weight, literally everything in game to determine what makes a player good for us in game. and to come up with a system that weights all of those as fairly as possible. The way that we kind of did that was to create essentially a list of every action a player will perform in the game. So that might be short passing, for example, which you might go, well, there's a stat for that. Yeah, but if you think about what comes into short passing, the player's composure, their weak foot, what are they able to play it off both feet? Their vision stat. So there's so many different aspects, and then you've got to add them play styles into that as well. So we did that, and I think we came up with 41 different in-game actions that every player will do at some point. And then you need to go through each role and decide, well, how are those actions weighted in terms of that role? A defender's not going to be hitting as many short shots as a striker will be, for example. And so by then taking all of those inputs, putting through a bunch of different percentages, you get a kind of formula for working out how does a player kind of rate in terms of our feeling of playing them in game. We've chatted to a lot of pros about how it works, about what they would look for in players as well, and come up with a system that will give us a kind of figure out of 100 that will determine how good a player is. We have a kind of modifier to the rating that we get at the end of our system to make them either higher or lower, just to try and bring players to a rating that people kind of understand. We don't want players that are 96 rated being rated 120, but we also don't want them being rated at like 60. So it should be in that kind of upper echelons of the 0 to 100 scale, and that modifier will change as the seasons progress, as a game cycle progresses. And that's across the board. So that's to every player. It's not individual. So like if we've got a striker at advanced forward, what we'll do is take the top score for an advanced forward, and let's say that is 80 after they've gone through all of our systems. Well, we want to make sure that is relative to in-game. So we might put a 1.2x modifier to advanced forwards. And so every advanced forward has their score with 20% on top. That'll bring the top player to 96, and everyone else will then go underneath that. What that allows us to do is, throughout the whole year, is have a slightly moving scale. I think from people that have seen GG rating right now, they're looking at, say, 𝘍𝘍𝘐 82 rated and going, well, hang on a minute, he was the best striker in the game for a good few months there. And that's absolutely true, but that base 𝘍𝘍𝘐 only has one play style. It's not a shooting play style. He's missing in a lot of different areas on that card. So where the power curve is now is different to where it was at the beginning of the game. So it will move as the season goes on. It's worth saying with like how in detail we have gone with some of these things. So for example, chatting to a lot of the kind of top players in the game, one of the things that came up quite often was the fact that they wouldn't have a right winger or left winger generally that was not right-footed or left-footed. So they want a right-footed player on the right wing, they want a left-footed player on the left wing. And the reason for that is you can't hit weak-footed 𝘃𝑣𝑒𝑙𝑎s. 𝘃𝑣𝑒𝑙𝑎s are obviously so broken, that makes them incredibly meta. And so when we're rating a right winger, being right-footed is actually quite important to your score because it gives you the ability to hit a 𝘃𝑣𝑒𝑙𝑎. But we also know that finesse shots are incredibly overpowered. And so you need to be able to hit a left-footed finesse shot from the right-hand side. Well, now 5-star weak foot is important. So a right-footed 5-star weak foot player will score really well at right wing, and a left-footed 5-star weak foot player will score really well at left wing. So it goes into fine details, even down to that kind of degree. We have also linked it to chemistry styles as well, because chemistry styles will affect the accelerate style of each player. So, controlled 𝗫𝘳, as we've mentioned a few times, I think is one of the best running styles, especially for a player that you need to be fast. So strikers and centre backs, for example. And so chemistry styles may seem to be an interesting choice in a few places. There was a few times in testing where even strikers were being given anchor chemistry style because it made them control 𝗫𝘳. We had to do a bit of rebalancing to make sure that it still made more sense than that. But what that then means is you then have this kind of ultimate Bible of, for a general player, this is a player that scores well in our GG rating. This is the chemistry style that makes them score well. It is worth saying that players have different play styles, as in we have different play styles. How I will play the game is different to how Ben will play the game is different to how you, the listener, will play the game. And so this is as general as we can make it. If you're someone who really likes a big man up top and likes putting in aerial balls, well, you're going to want somebody with aerial who's tall, who probably has press proven, like that Lukaku who was nominated for pound for pound. But there are lots of people who can't get on with big strikers and prefer skill moves and trying to take it past players, or they need loads of players with 𝘵𝘃𝗃+ because they have lots of quick passing. So there is going to be nuance. And as I say, we try to remove feel as much as possible. We all know that some players just have that extra juice in game, but it's very difficult to quantify what that juice is. There's actually areas we think we found where that is and have brought that into our ratings. So yeah, it's no system is going to be perfect because your experience of a player is going to be different to somebody else's experience of a player. But I think it is a really useful tool, especially when it comes to Evos, for kind of getting an idea of how good your players are, maybe what the next Evo you should take is. And then if you're choosing your team and want to decide, okay, I need a cheap beast at striker, you can now go through and look at, well, who's the best GG rating for under 100k and find a striker that maybe you've not thought of using and give a go in game and go, actually, they are very, very good.
And I think to illustrate perhaps where this system is sometimes a little controversial, and we've seen, criticism. I mean, there was always going to be criticism. It's something that is very hard to be completely objective about. There's always going to be opinions, and as you said, people's different play styles and stuff like that. However, centre-back is somewhere where I think there's less skew because of play style. And so it's been interesting because the recently released Bastoni, who is very expensive, I think he's 800k at time of recording, has very meta playstyle pluses in terms of having jockey plus, intercept plus, anticipate plus, and ping plus, is actually lower GG rated than Buongiorno, who has anticipate plus, block plus, and aerial plus. Buongiorno is 60k. He's the 8th ranked centre back. He's still a little way off Van Dijk, who's the top. But Bastoni's down at 18. So do you want to explain why it is? And actually, this has been backed up. Various pros saying that he is, in quotes, a fraud, Bastoni. So the GG rating map does actually reflect his failings in game. But it'd be interesting to know what is causing him to score low. And I guess that might help users understand the system, and also potentially help people understand why a centre-back might be a bit of a fraud.
So the first thing to say when you compare the two cards is that whilst on base stats, let's just start off with stats, we can get into playstyles later on, the Bastoni clearly is better because he's so close to 99 in so many of his face card stats and his in-game stats. The benefits he would get from, say, a Shadow is way less than what he'd get from an Anchor. So from our system, it gives him an Anchor as the best playstyle because it makes him maxed out in defending and then gives him the physical that he needs, which we'll get onto why he needs that in a bit. For Buongiorno, because he's got so much headroom in his pace and defending, actually a Shadow is the best playstyle for him. So when you compare the two of them, Buongiorno with his Shadow playstyle has 4 more pace. They both have 99 defending. The only difference is Buongiorno has 96 heading accuracy, but that's not that important for a defender. And then physically, Bastoni wins there because he's at 99. Buongiorno still has very good physicals, 97 jumping, 95 strength, 98 aggression. The reason why really Bastoni loses out pretty majorly is that he has neither block nor bruiser, even as a base playstyle. And I think this is where maybe things are overlooked. People don't check base playstyles enough. Buongiorno has every defensive playstyle in the game. He's got block plus and anticipate plus. He still has base jockey and still has base intercept. Obviously, Bastoni has both those as a plus. But with no block and especially no bruiser, which is very important for defenders, he takes a massive hit and loses a lot of points in that department. He then is also kind of hurt by actually having really good agility. Because of the way the accelerate running types are calculated, his agility at 95 is so high, he's not able to become lengthy at all. So he can't be controlled lengthy, mostly lengthy, or lengthy. Whereas 𝗏𝗠𝘠, because his dribbling is slightly worse, but he does have 94 reactions, he can be controlled lengthy with his playstyle. In fact, he's mostly lengthy with a shadow. And so he has, as far as we're concerned, a much better accelerate type, and so gets a lot more points for his ability to catch up to attackers, because the top speed of a mostly lengthy defender is much higher than one that is just controlled as 𝗏𝗏𝗠 is. It was interesting in the Discord for the podcast, when the cards were released before there was even GG ratings for them, 2 people said, oh, they've murdered 𝗏𝗏𝗠. And when the GG ratings came out and went, yeah, they have done, there was a bit of vindication in there, I have to say. And like, as we've said, from all of the reports of people using him, very, very, very underwhelming for a card that I usually really enjoy in game as well. So it's not super surprising to me that he's not very high rated. And, you know, even if you go to 𝗏𝗠𝘠 then in terms of passing, because we do think passing can be important for centre-backs, despite having 4 less passing on his card, in terms of the important stats for a centre-back, it's mainly going to be vision and short passing with a little bit of long passing. And 𝗏𝗠𝘠 has 3 less vision and 1 more short passing, and has both incisive and long ball as base playstyles. 𝗏𝗏𝗠 has pinged plus, which is obviously a good, and he does win in the passing categories. But 𝗏𝗠𝘠 is so close in those categories he loses out in, whereas with no bruiser and no block, 𝗏𝗏𝗠 loses so many points there that, yeah, I do think it plays out in game. I do think when you use both of them, you'll feel 𝗏𝗠𝘠 be more solid as a player than you would do 𝗏𝗏𝗠.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting with block, isn't it? Because the block playstyle is really the only thing that can improve a player's ability at blocking, apart from possibly being a bit bigger. So although it isn't a fundamental thing that your player has block at this stage, when, you know, we are kind of looking around the margins, not having a play style that is going to be pretty important for stopping people scoring is obviously going to be important to a player's score at this stage. And a bruiser as well, people have been saying, even though he has very high physical stats, he doesn't feel as strong as a lot of other defenders. So I think, yeah, it is interesting, because it initially, especially when you look at the card with those really strong playstyle pluses, does look like it should be good. But actually, as soon as you get into the detail, you can really see why. And yeah, I think it has been kind of good to see some of these ratings in a way causing people to be like, that's interesting. Why is that? And kind of perhaps get a better sense of what might be making a player good or not so good. So yeah, it's been interesting. And the one thing, actually, we should take a break and we can come back to this, is Evos, because I think that's something we should point out as a way that people can really help themselves find strong evolutions. And so yeah, we'll do that after the break. Hello, and in this break, a quick reminder that the pod is made possible by supporters. The pod didn't used to be weekly. Yes, Foot Weekly wasn't actually weekly for a time. And then someone suggested setting up the Patreon. And since then, the pod has been weekly. And in fact, it's been twice weekly, because there is that supporter episode every single week. So if you'd like to catch that episode and keep the podcast going, it's just £3 a month to do so. And you get loads in return. And there are perks higher than that, including access to the Discord too. So if you're interested and would like to support the podcast, then head over and search Support for Weekly. Go to Patreon, and it's very easy to sign up. If you are a supporter keeping the podcast going, then a huge thank you for doing so. And if you do consider supporting, a huge thank you too. Right, let's jump back into the pod. Hello, welcome back after the break. Right, let's wrap up our chat about GG rating by talking about Evos. There is, quite simply, a GG rating sort within Evolutions on Foot.gg. So, Josh, it's now very straightforward to just see the top players, rather than, of course, it being sorted by overall. And already, I mean, it's actually quite notable how Evos allow you to produce players which actually have a much higher GG rating in some cases than you can get from the market, SBCs, etc.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's that thing of being able to kind of cherry pick your play styles has allowed people to kind of build much more perfect players for positions than necessarily EA are creating. And so especially in like when we get a good Evo, I think 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝘀 was probably one of the best this week. It created incredible left back fullbacks, just because the playstyle pluses it gave, the base playstyles it gave, but also what stats it increased as well. And then, we've had some really, really good defensive midfielders, especially some centre halves that came out quite high. So, just some really like interesting Evo paths. It's probably more useful with Evos than GG rating is probably more useful with Evos than it is with kind of the base cards, just because we have so many Evos that clearly extend cards beyond the card rating. Like we've had, I think it expired yesterday, but the 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝘀𝗀 Greats or whatever the 𝘵𝘵𝗀𝗀𝗀𝘀 evolution was that maxed out at 74. But like, I think my player through it, like he's 74 rated. This is 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘀 because I had to restart him. But he finishes with 95 pace, 88 shooting, 84 passing, and 94 dribbling with 88 physical. Like, that's not a 74 rated card. And so being able to compare those cards really quickly and easily by looking at their GG rating is so, so useful. And also kind of maybe brings to the fore some cards that people would never have thought to check, that would never have popped up in another search, but they just have that right selection of play styles, the right body type, the right kind of position or footedness, and now you kind of can get exposed to these incredible cards, especially with the chemistry boost that the TOTS card design is giving. So yeah, I it's been really useful for me. I've had to restart a few evolutions recently, kind of my Evos that I've had from the beginning of the game just aren't as good as ones if I started them afresh. And it's really easy and quick to check out like how I can do that by just putting 𝘭𝘀 in the name search, sorting by GG rating, and then I can see the best 𝘭𝘀s in the game from evolution. So yeah, like really, really useful there. I think, as you said, once it comes to Evo Lab and you can then see, okay, this evolution fits 3 of my players. Who does it improve the most in terms of their GG rating? Which one comes out the best? I think it will like elevate it then to an even higher level.
Yeah. And actually, we should give a shout out to 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝘀𝘀 for being probably one of the most powerful evolutions that you can do at the moment. It's not even crazy expensive, actually.
50k, I think.
50k, 200 FP. And I mean, just Jockey plus, Anticipate plus, Quickstep plus is such a powerful combination for fullback, I think. In fact, I'm not sure, Josh. It would be nice to have a passing playstyle, I suppose, but many of these players do have base passing playstyles as well. But yeah, I don't think there's, at least defensively, a better combination for fullback.
No, I think you're looking at probably the 3 most important playstyles there for a fullback. Maybe you could ask if they don't already have intercept. Maybe that's where you'd say they might be missing out on. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty perfect. It even gives base bruiser, which I think is good out wide as well, because you do have a lot of kind of shoulder to shoulder battles when you're kind of running alongside a winger. So yeah, just an outrageous evolution. It's worth saying as well, like, and again, going back to GG rating, that fullback is much more of a defensive role than wingback is. And so actually, in terms of losing out because they don't have a passing play style, it won't be quite as bad as it would be in wingback, or especially in attacking wingback, or even in the false back roles. But yeah, it also gives defender as a position, but only defender plus, like as in terms of a role. So I think a lot of people are very excited that they can use their Theo Hernandez at centre back, but I think with only a role plus, probably not that great. And, kind of on the Evo chat, worth talking about this glitch that everyone was trying, where I'm not going to go through how to do it because it can take you up to an hour. And I don't think the boost is actually all that good. But essentially, as long as a player had TOTS as their card design, they could go into either the Rush TOTS upgrade or the Bundesliga Rush upgrade, I think it was, that just gave a +1 essentially to all of the stats on a card up to 94 rated. As in the card, I think it was max 93 rated, but would upgrade the card to 94 rated. And what people found was if you added one of the cosmetic evolutions, it changed the card design from TOTS Evo to just a Team of the Season card design. And if you just spammed trying to enter the card into the Evo, eventually the game would go, well, fine, you can have it. And so, yeah, people have managed to get these like +1s to some of their cards. The amount of hype it got and how it was all over my timeline compared to the actual upgrade it gave the cards is genuinely mind-blowing. Like, it's literally a +1. It's not that big of an upgrade. But people enjoy feeling like they're getting one over on EA, so I think that's maybe why it exploded in the way it did.
Well, an important thing to say is that actually, I think that could be detrimental, especially if you're upgrading someone who's like a 92, because just +1s is hardly worth a +1 overall when there may be a future Evo which gives a playstyle or, you know, something along those lines. So I'm not sure that it's even necessarily worth doing, even if it had been kind of instant and easy, which is, I guess, maybe something to look out for when doing those kind of +1 Evos that they've been playing out. Unlock the dribble, another 99 dribbling boost. Notably, though, does not push the players up to 5-star, weak foot 5-star skills, which I think is the main drawback here. And there's a really nice thing that you can do where you can put 𝘰𝑚 through this, the SBC version, and then actually, because it removes some of his base play styles by giving plus, you then get the opportunity to put finesse plus on him. He does look really good, but he's only 4-star. So they've found a way to kind of mitigate this slightly, but still, it is a good Evo. It is expensive though, 125k, 500 FP.
I think we'll be seeing that 𝘰𝑚 a lot over the next 7 to 14 days, because, yeah, it is very, very popular. It's a very good Evo, the second 99 dribbling Evo. I do enjoy that they stopped you putting your previous 99 dribbling Evo through this one, as if the +60 or overall would be worth it for just 6 shooting and 8 pace up to 90 and 91. I don't think I'll be putting this on my left back, as I did with the first 99 dribbling evolution. But yeah, like, I do think we've seen another uptick in the quality of evolutions. Worth saying, this is a max 92 overall to get in. Some really, really nice cards coming out the other side of this. 𝘂𝘂𝘰𝗀𝘂𝘁 as well was a decent Evo for the centre-backs. And Dream Crusher has allowed people to start playing their centre-backs at striker with like insane shooting stats. I mean, genuinely insane shooting stats. The problem is that anyone who's any good at striker who was a centre-back has all of the play styles for a centre-back. And I know that attackers are good defenders, but I think it's taking it to an extreme if your striker has, you know, jockey, anticipate, and aerial plus. So yeah, I actually think Evos have been really quite good this week. I started off with Alpine Wall. Heavy Metal has been overlooked quite a lot. It's part of some really nice chains and gives players like super high defending and physical. So yeah, I think Evos are in a much better place than they were. And maybe I'm just saying that because, you know, my wangs can all get better now.
Wangs are on the rise. I think you're right. I think that
my wangs fit in. Why did I miss the wangs fit in joke? Anyway, carry on. Yeah,
you're right. There has been an uptick in the sort of power that evolutions can deliver, and I think I know a few people are waiting for GG Racing to come to Evo Lab so that they can kind of see more clearly what the upgrade potential is, especially if you have some lower rated players around the sort of 87, 88 mark. There's now opportunities for sort of combos, which weren't possible before because the overall ratings have got higher. So it is worth looking out for that rather than just thinking in simple kind of one upgrade terms, as many people have been recently. Now, moving on, I thought we'd cover at the end here. We will talk more about this on the gameplay podcast about people's concerns or disappointment about Team of the Season so far, but also I think a lot of the questions actually, or kind of concerns that people sent in and issues they're having are kind of more around power curve, which is almost, I know it is content related, but it's actually quite gameplay related. So I think we'll talk about it more on the gameplay pod. I did want to bring in a more kind of specific points people made around content, and maybe this one can feed us into talking about anything you wanted to say, Josh, around the menus. But Jay Dickinson was saying, I think questions need to be asked as to why EA are bringing in SBCs that require cards with ratings specifically. For example, when you need 5 times 86 rated cards, I don't like the idea. I think if you want to put higher rated cards in, then you should just be able to do that.
Yeah, the question can be asked. I think the question can be answered fairly easily, and it's that fodder wasn't selling. Like nothing from kind of 85 upwards was selling, and because it's so cheap, if you put in an SBC that has any kind of value to it that requires that rating of card, then people either it's going to be so cheap that it would be silly, or there'll be so many SBCs that you need to enter that people wouldn't want to do it. But also then if you raise the price of like 86 rated cards and you've said you need to do 20 86 rated teams, well, then if the price goes up too much of those 86 rated cards, well, then it's too expensive and no one's going to do it. So the price comes back down again. So I think it's a way to try and kind of artificially raise the price of certain ratings of cards. To me, it's a really poor solution. I think 89 rated cards are all like 25k at the moment, but a 92 rated card is 13k. It is not working as it should do. Do you know what would really fix 89 to 85 rated fodder right now? The exchange. That would give it value. It would give some sort of replayability in the menus. It would give people the ability to generate that kind of low rated gold fodder to go into the upgrade grinds, to go, to try and grind those league specific packs. I know that it gave probably a grind that was too good last year, but I think just row back on what you're being given in terms of the number of cards rather than removing it entirely is maybe a better solution for the exchanges, because it's clearly not working right now. And like I'm sat here with a load of 85 to 89 rated fodder in my duplicate storage, and at the 89 and 88's less so, but what do you do with 85 to 87 rated cards? Like now we've got these SBCs that I can put my 85 to 87 rated cards in. But I don't know. I think they've let it go too long where the price of that low rated fodder is so cheap that it's very difficult to fix it without kind of re-causing a different problem that then like unsolves the problem that it's solved by, well, now no one wants to do that SBC because it's too expensive. And so those cards then become cheaper because there's now not the demand for them, but the supply stayed the same. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess right now. I understand why people don't like it. I know why they've done it. I think it's an imperfect solution to the kind of market problem we've got right now.
Yeah, and then in terms of menu tips and pointers, is there anything particularly that stands out to you in terms of things people may want to know? I don't know if things have changed too much this week.
I mean, yeah, and that is just be very careful of which icon SBC it is that you're completing, because as of last night, we now have 2 icon picks. One is a 90 plus 1 of 4 icon pick that doesn't include Immortals icons, and the other is a 93 plus icon pick that is 1 of 3 that does include Immortals. So just be very careful. The 93 plus, I think, expires in a week's time at the same time as the 90 plus mixed icons. I do like that they've given us a second one. I know that it got kind of... It's been panned a little bit in terms of the ratings. I think it's at like 73% downvotes on foot.gg. But that 90 plus mixed icons player pick, that's one where you require players of exact overalls. That's why that value is being given to those 89, 90 rated cards. So yeah, like I don't hate it. It's a place to put it. They could have just put Immortals icons in there. I don't know why they feel the need to gatekeep icons like that probably won't pop in that pick anyway. That feels a bit odd to me. In terms of the rest of the grind, we had a re-up of the TOTS upgrade grind. So that objective has now refreshed. So there's lots of really good packs now for completing the TOTS crafting upgrade. And then the TOTS grinding upgrade has switched from silver to bronze, but they're giving us fewer bronze players every day. So yay. So there's 3, I think, super daily bronze upgrades, and the daily silvers and bronzes did come back. I think you can repeat them 6 times a day. One thing I would say, if you are doing that daily upgrade grind of like the bronzes and silvers, is that I think the daily gold upgrade is better value than the kind of TOTS upgrade, in that you only need 5 silvers and 5 bronzes to get the 11 kind of gold players from the daily gold upgrade. I think that's probably a little bit better long term. And so I'm doing my daily gold upgrades first to get those kind of 13, 11 gold players packs, and then going in and doing the TOTS grinding upgrade, which you can do 30 times a day. Open some bronze packs, loads of managers sell. Rare cards from the 𝘵𝘵𝗬𝘀𝘀 or 𝘬𝘰𝗰𝗀𝘀 sell for over 1,000 coins very consistently. So like you will spend some coins doing it, but it's probably better to open packs to get the bronzes to complete the TOTS grinding upgrade than it would be to just buy the bronzes. But hey, all bronzes selling for 200 coins is never a bad thing. It does make bronze pack method like very, very good if you are looking to generate coins right now. It's decent. We had a re-up of the 83/10 as well. It's worth saying, it's still 4 times a day, but they removed that requirement for 384s, which I just thought was a bit silly. And now it's just an 83 rated squad. So yeah, and we've also had the re-up of the 100 players upgrade as well, that guarantees 10 84 or higher, and then like 90 other gold players with 40 of them being rare. 85 rated squad and 86 rated squad, worth a crack, and you get 2 tradable packs back. Yeah, I don't mind that either. So there's lots to do in the menu grind. I did see some comments that maybe it's a little bit hollow. It feels kind of like you're making progress without really making progress. But you know, it is something to do, and if you are a pack addict, then you can get a pretty decent supply of them every day.
Yeah, we will talk more about kind of the balance, I guess, of this sort of thing, and bring in plenty of. I know we said we'd bring in more on this one, but we haven't had time at the end. But we will do that on the gameplay episode this week. Talk about power curve gameplay, some advice, of course, too. And we're going to head off and record that supporter episode now. So if you are a supporter, you can catch that later this week. If you are not, then you might fancy supporting, getting an extra podcast every single week, and supporting the podcast, keeping it going. You can do that over on Patreon for just £3. Search support for weekly to find that. And so, thank you very much, Josh, for joining us. I say us, me, on this content episode. It's been good to have you on.
I didn't realise I was podcasting with Gollum there. No, it's been good to be here, and interested to see how La Liga fares. Should be some pretty high ticket cards in that team of the season. Some that probably don't deserve to be in there as well. But looking forward to seeing what that brings.
Great. Well, thank you very much to all you listeners tuning in. A reminder that you can subscribe on the various podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you're catching this on YouTube, do drop a comment, leave a like. They do all get read, those comments, and may get brought into the episode. And of course, if, as I said, you'd like to become a supporter, just search support for weekly. And a big thank you to all those supporters for supporting the podcast and keeping it going, including those icon patrons: Dave B, Darren W, Hugh J, Rob W, Brent P, Ralph, Josh R, Brian, Michael B, Adam R, 𝘵𝘀, Make B, Michael H, Andrew P, Arian B, Rob S, Michael K, Neil P, Jake S, Tom B, Alex M, Alan G, Lee A, Chris G, Mark M, Dom P, Rob P, Roger D, Dan W, Waterman, Also Ran, and plus a special thanks to Luke M, Dave B, Hugh J, Tom M, Darren W, and Pato Foot for advice and production assistance. Before I leave you, just one more thing to add though. Ultimate Team is a bit like life really. It has its many ups and downs. If you're having a few more downs than ups in real life in these more difficult times, then please don't feel that you're alone or need to struggle on without taking action. If you go to thecalmzone.net, there's loads of resources, advice, support, or even just a friendly chat for anyone who needs it. If it sounds like it could help you, then head over to thecalmzone.net. And for now, have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next podcast.